Can Drew Allar be the one to break the five-star Penn State quarterback Jinx? Drew Allar is the third highest-rated QB recruit for the Penn State Nittany Lions in their program history, and the hype train is growing around the program, and they are emerging as a dark horse candidate for the college football playoff this year, picked by many pundits and fans alike to do the unthinkable and get to the Final Four of the college football playoff. Drew Allar has all the tools to succeed in his first season as starter. Nick Singleton, the running back, returns along with fellow running back Kaytron Allen, and they add in two transfer wide receivers, but the biggest being transfer wide receiver Dante Cephas. And not to mention, they have a great offensive line with all five starters returning from last season. Fashanu, the left tackle, third-team All-American from Phil Steele, and second-team Big Ten voted on from the coaches. Tengwall, 5 starts last season before getting injured and missing the rest of the season. Hunter Norzad, the center, honorable mention from the Big Ten and starts last season, every game last season. Wormley, 13 starts as well, and another All-Big Ten honorable mention. And then Wallace, the right tackle, 8 games started last season for him. Penn State fans have wanted a top QB for some time, but have yet to get one, and Drew Allar looks to be their saving grace. From Matt McGloin, Trace McSorley, Christian Hackenberg, and Sean Clifford, they never were able to get across the finish line and get to where Penn State fans want them to be, which is national champions. But Drew Allar was recruited by James Franklin so heavily for this reason. They really think that he is the one to get them to the promised land. In his brief experience so far in college football, he's had some flashes of greatness. 344 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and a 58.3 completion percentage. The key being no interceptions for him so far in his career. And in the spring game, a lot of the offensive players have told him he throws a little too hard, too much velocity. So he's definitely has some zip and ready to go. He has a lot of pieces around him, namely the running backs. The running attack was top 40 in both yards per rush and rushing yards per game last season with 181.2 yards on the ground. Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen both impressed in their freshman year, and both rushed for over 850 yards and double-digit rushing touchdowns for both of them. They also add a third running back to that tandem, Trey Potts, running back transfer from the University of Minnesota. He gets brought in to provide an additional impact and hopes to provide some of that third down push and conversion that they kind of lacked last season. 76th best in the country on third down conversion. He is not the only new offensive weapon that transfers in. Wide receiver Dante Cephas from Kent State brings 2,000-plus yards in his career to the Nittany Lions and 12 touchdowns on the season. He will do great, as he did last season with Devontae Walker, another fellow wide receiver that impressed and brought himself to UNC. So Cephas has done great things for himself and now sees him with a great quarterback in Drew Allar. Malik McClain also transfers in from Florida State. Does not have the stats like Cephas, but was a 4-star wide receiver out of high school. Did not get much playing time at Florida State, but now sees himself in a Nittany Lion offense that expects to put up a lot of points. Allar will also be helped by 2 senior tight ends, Theo Johnson, 328 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns, and then fellow senior tight end Tyler Warren, 123 yards and 3 touchdowns receiving. Penn State's season will always be determined by how they fare against the 2 big dogs, Michigan and Ohio State. And last year, that did not go well for them at all. They got, frankly, embarrassed in a lot of those games, in both those games, really. And their season resulted in sadness for the fans and James Franklin alike. He's been here quite some time now, and I think that Drew Allar can really break the curse here. A lot of fans can agree watching Sean Clifford fumble in the biggest moments was not the greatest, but Allar has all the pieces was the second best recruit in the state of Ohio in the class of 2023. So a lot of fans are relying on him, and I think that he'll be brought along a little bit slowly. Their games aren't that terrible to start the season. The toughest game doesn't come till about week 7 against Ohio State. He has a home game out of conference against West Virginia, a team that is on the decline a little bit and will allow Allar to really showcase himself and get comfortable, followed by games at Delaware, Illinois, and Iowa. Then 2 tune-up games against lowly Northwestern and the University of Massachusetts before they head to Ohio State and take on Ryan Day and the Buckeyes. Going to be a big one and really set the tone for the season for Penn State. If they are able to beat Ohio State, they can then virtually look at a one-loss season and getting to a Big Ten title game if everything turns out the way that they need it to. And Drew Allar will have the offensive coordinator on his side. They are really excited about him this season, and he will definitely be able to have a chance to break the Penn State QB jinx.